Happy Star Wars Day, everybody. May the 4th be with you. Hi, it's Mark from Blue Poodle Studio. And while we spent a lot of time looking at toys from the 80s and 90s, today we're going all the way back to the 1970s and the world of school supplies. And of course, as I've talked about before, I worked for several years for a company called the Mead Corporation, Mead School and Office Products. Mead has been since bought by other companies, and the school and office products brands were sold off to other conglomerates. But at the time that I worked there, Mead was probably the largest manufacturer of school supplies in America, and we had lots of licensed properties where we are, of course, utilizing the rights to put on notebooks and folders for kids. And so as a result, people were always pitching things to Mead and to the marketing team. This particular project predates my being there, and how I came to learn about this work was I was running the product development team, and my boss, the VP, said, "Okay, Mark, you've got that big storage room. We need to clean it out. It's looking like a mess down there. There's too much crap. You guys can't find anything. Can you get it?" So I said to my team, "Okay, let's get in there and clean this out." Now, I'm going to date myself here, but there are those that have worked in the agency world or other graphic-oriented fields have heard the term job jackets. Job jackets are manila folders that hold detailed information about projects or products. And of course, this is all, remember, this is all pre-digital era. So nothing existed digitally. Everything was on paper or Xeroxed, as it was called at the time, or mimeographed. So I'm digging through this long row of all these files, kind of looks like records in a doctor's office, and we were pulling out stuff and throwing old things away. And I grabbed this one folder that simply said Star Wars on it. And I said to myself, well, holy smokes, I had no idea that we ever had any involvement with Star Wars. And when I started looking inside the folder, lo and behold, I found samples of school supplies from the first Star Wars film released in 1977. But it was sadly a bit of a bizarre journey for the team at Mead at that time. And so, a little bit like a detective, I was playing forensics, reading through some very, very old typewritten notes and memos and things from the company, trying to piece together what happened. So I'm going to try to briefly reconstruct the timeline of this and tell you about how things went in the beginning horribly wrong for my predecessors at Mead. So the film was released in May of 1977, and it was a huge rolling success. And of course, then at that point, Mead would have already missed the back-to-school season in terms of production, because at that point we had designed and manufactured and shipping the notebooks and folders for August and July, which is when traditionally most school supplies are purchased. But apparently, again, I wasn't privy to it, but the film studio reached out to Mead and said, "Hey, would you be interested in licensing the property of this hot new film to gain interest or to sell in products?" And so there's some correspondence that speak to this licensing, and some handwritten notes from the art director of the company at the time that we're going to be doing some theme books, which are sometimes called wire-bound notebooks. We're going to be doing portfolios, which are folded paperboard folders that hold papers and school assignments. And so they said, "Okay, great, well, send us some artwork." And his notes say, "Art available in 35 millimeter slides." So remember, these are probably actual film clips from the movie itself, not being retouched and just sent over. And there's some funny correspondence. Here's a note. We'll talk about this in a minute. You can see some correspondence with the Star Wars headline on the stationery, and it even says the Star Wars Corporation, P.O. Box 8669, Universal City, California. And so this was long before Lucas Pictures. There was the Star Wars Corporation. Nobody who knew that. So I'm digging through this folder, and I find then photographs or reprints of actual 35 millimeter slides from the film. And so these were apparently unretouched outtakes from the actual film of the film. And so in this same folder then are dozens of different images. These are direct duplicates of original negatives from the film that were given to Mead to put on notebooks and folders. And there's a whole series of them, and then sometimes there's little notes scribbled on the back like X, that's too dark, we can't read that. But you know, all the classic characters are there and scenes that most of us would remember from this film. Well, apparently they sent some of these back in, and the production studio wasn't that crazy about them. They didn't like them, they were too dark, and so our licensing contact said, stop the presses. These are too dark, you cannot print these, they need to be fixed. And so there's correspondence back and forth saying that, well, we agree with your assessment. Now here's a letter from December 28th, 1977 to Richard Muggy. Dick Muggy was my old boss when I worked at Mead. At that time, he was the vice president of marketing. I think in these days, he must have been the marketing director or something. And the creative director at Star Wars or at the studios goes through here and comments on, well, the stormtroopers are too green and Darth Vader is too dark, but R2-D2 and C-3PO, we can see those okay. And so the team went through a whole bunch of retouching. And so again, prior to the digital age, these films go through a process called color separations, where you get proofs, and they're breaking these down into what's called your 4-color process printing. And so when you look at a proof, and so these folders, this folder I'm showing you, this is a handmade mock-up of the Star Wars folder. And that's you can see the color strip inside showing, and it has, of course, the logo of Star Wars and Mead, and it's again handmade. And if you look at it up close under what's called a loop or a little magnifying glass, you can see the dot patterns on her face that make up process colors, use a set of colors to make up all colors in the spectrum. In any event, apparently they were finally able to meet the studio's expectations and get this into production. And so what I have here, besides the set of all the photographs, then these are a set of the handmade, again, proofs of the folders that were put together to show. And then I also have samples of notebook, or what was those days called wire-bound cover notebooks. And so these are actual printed samples. These are color offset proofs. And then the final or fun little surprise inside the folder was then, so Mead was racing to get these things into market in the 1st of January, even though the film had been out for a while. And they even took out well, here's some of the logo artwork they sent us. Hold on, I'm trying to find this other file I wanted to share. It's right here. We go. Sorry. Okay, so hold on. I got another piece of paper. Oh, here we go. So then Mead even took out a print ad in what would have been like a trade pub in the stationery industry, and it says, robots R2-D2, and it's spelled out ARTOO-DTOO instead of the numbers, and C-3PO, SEE-THREEPIO, along with other characters from Star Wars, will appear on covers of Mead Products spiral notebooks and 2-pocket folders beginning January 1st. Mead Products has obtained exclusive rights to manufacture and distribute paper school supplies in connection with the space fantasy motion picture. According to Dick Muggy, Vice President of Marketing, Star Wars is currently, quote, the largest grossing film in history and the hottest licensing property. All reproductions of the school supplies are copyrights of 20th Century Fox Film Corporation. And this was dated December 16th, 1977. So again, an effort to promote this great property. And it's a fun little glimpse of the past from far away and long, long ago, and I wanted to have a chance to share that with you today. So thanks for joining us, and we're going to keep digging in the archives and see what other little treasures we can find. Have a great day.